Hi, my name is Scott Simpson, and today we'll be talking about dipole moments. So dipole moments are important for understanding various aspects of chemistry. Typically, when you get to the second semester of chemistry, you start considering intermolecular attraction forces. And these are some forces that can really impact how the molecules interact with one another. Before we do that, though, there are two things you need to consider with dipole moments. You need to consider bond dipoles, so the dipoles between individual atoms, and then you have to consider the overall addition of those dipoles into something called the molecular dipole moment. So let's describe bond dipoles first, then we'll move on into molecules. So bond dipoles. What we're going to do, let's consider first a polar covalent compound. So consider a polar covalent compound. Let's go with a simple linear one, HCl. So if we draw the Lewis structure of HCl, it looks like this. Now, if we try to draw out like the electron density, what will happen is, we'll draw that in red, is there will be less electron density around the hydrogen, but since this isn't completely an ionic bond, there is some covalent nature to it. We'll get some electron density between these two atoms. Okay, great. Now the chlorine has more electrons, so of course there's going to be more electron density around it. But if we start to consider the electronegativity of these elements, we know that the electronegativity of chlorine is greater than that of hydrogen. So what ends up happening is that chlorine saps electron density away, forming a partial negative charge on the chlorine end of the molecule and a partial positive charge on the end of the hydrogen molecule. So, shifts in electron density from the hydrogen to the fluorine, or excuse me, to the chlorine, is the result of electronegativity. Differences in electronegativity. Okay, great. So now this leads to a bond dipole. Okay, so now if we try to draw this bond dipole out, we usually do this with an arrow. The pointy end points towards the more electronegative part. The positive end points towards the more positive element. So if we were to draw out those partial charges, it would look something like this. Okay, and each covalent bond, each polar covalent bond, excuse me, because pure covalent bonds where there's no difference in electronegativity, there isn't a dipole moment. Polar covalent bonds, they all have an associated dipole moment. So each polar covalent bond has an associated dipole moment. And now the dipole moment, the formal definition of it, we give it the symbol mu with an arrow above it, meaning it's a vector. So vector-like quantities not only have a magnitude, but they have a direction, is equal to the charge and then the cross product of the distance between those charges. So we have the dipole moment. We have the charge, the difference in charge. And then we have the distance between, or the separation between the charge. So distance. Okay, Now, how do we factor this in? So a molecule can have many bond dipoles. To get the overall dipole moment, what we have to do is we have to add up all these vectors and see what happens. And this is known as the molecular dipole. Dipole moment. And what it is let's give it the symbol mu. Molecule is equal to the summation of mu sub I, where mu sub I, this is the dipole moment of each bond. Moment of each bond. Okay, and we give these quantities, we give them two types of names. If the overall dipole moment, the molecular dipole moment, is equal to 0, so we add up all those bond dipoles and they cancel out, the compound is considered nonpolar. Compound is nonpolar. And if we consider the other option, where the overall dipole moment is not 0, we consider this compound polar. It is polar. Okay. And this can actually lead us to understanding different properties about a molecule. Before we do that, let's look at some Lewis structures and decide if something is polar or is nonpolar. So an example of this, we're going to look at two isomers. We're going to look at dichloroethane, explicitly 1,2-dichloroethane. So which compound is polar and which is unpolar or nonpolar? Okay, so let's draw these out. Okay, so we have these two structures. Let's draw each of the bond dipoles. Okay, so now we have to consider differences in electronegativity. So which one has a higher electronegativity, the chlorine or the carbon? We look at the periodic table, we can see that the chlorine has a higher electronegativity than that carbon. So if we draw a bond dipole out, we have one pointing in this direction, one pointing, in this direction. Okay, let's do the same thing for this system. Okay, great. Now, in red, let's draw out the overall bond, or the bond dipoles for these hydrogen-carbon bonds. We know that hydrogen has a lower electronegativity than the carbon, so we will have them pointing towards the carbon. And in this system, again, we have them pointing towards the carbon. Great. So now let's look at the addition. Where is the overall bond dipole going to point? Let's consider the compound on the left first. So if we look, these hydrogen-carbon dipole moments, they're actually pointing in equal and opposite directions. So these two bond dipoles will cancel out. Then if we consider the chlorine-carbon bond dipoles, again, they're pointing in opposite directions. If we think about like two horses that have an equal strength and they're pulling, trying to pull against each other, they're not going to move anywhere. Okay, so in that case, this system has an overall, or has no overall bond dipole moment. So mu molecule is equal to 0. Now, let's consider the one on the right. If we look, these bond dipoles, they're actually additive. They're pointing in the same direction. Same with these chlorine. The overall dipole moment of this molecule is going to point downwards. So therefore, in this case, mu is not equal to 0. Therefore, this compound is nonpolar, whereas this compound is polar. Great. So now there is another, we can look at one more example. Let's consider carbon dioxide. We're going to ask, is carbon dioxide polar? So we have CO2. Let's try to draw out carbon dioxide. We got a Lewis structure. Now we have to draw the bond dipoles out. So we have to consider what's more electronegative, the oxygens or the carbon. And the answer to that riddle is carbon is more or less electronegative than the oxygen. So we have a bond dipole pointing in this direction, a bond dipole pointing in this direction. Now we have to consider the three-dimensional shape of this compound. We know that this is a linear compound. So we know that these bonds, they're 180 degrees away from one another. They're equal and opposing. So this compound will not have an overall dipole moment, meaning it's nonpolar. Great. Okay, so there's another property that you can kind of sort of predict using bond dipoles and dipole moments. You can decide what's going to dissolve generally into another compound. So if you have a solvent, will it dissolve these? This isn't a complete foolproof method to compare polar and nonpolar solvent. Generally, the adage goes like dissolves like. And what we're basically stating at this point are that polar solvents dissolve polar compounds. And nonpolar solvents, they dissolve nonpolar compounds. To be truthful about this, you should consider what's known as delta G of mixing, or the Gibbs free energy of mixing. But we can kind of eyeball this and come up with an easy way to decide if something will dissolve in one another just based upon dipole moments. So let's ask the question, will methane, CH4, dissolve in water? So let's consider the Lewis structures of these and the three-dimensional structures of these. So we go to draw out methane. It's pretty simple. We know that even though it's flat, the actual shape of it is a tetrahedral arrangement where these bonds are approximately 109.5 degrees away from one another. So we have to consider these molecules in 3 dimensions. So we know we have bond dipoles that are all pointing towards the central carbon. And they're all equal, yet they're pointing at the same direction. So what we know about this molecule is that it has no overall dipole moment. And it is nonpolar. Whereas let's consider water, so H2O. We draw that out. Let's draw out the bond dipoles. If you look, they are not equal and opposing completely. There's going to be an overall overall dipole moment that points in this direction. So therefore, this molecule does not have a 0 overall dipole moment, and therefore it is polar. So based upon this argument, you would expect that methane would not be very soluble in water. And in fact, if you look up the solubility of these two in one another, you'll see that it's very small. So, no, CH4 will minimally, minimally dissolve in water. So a very small amount will, but not very much. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave the comments below. Thank you.